The marketplace of Xylan City was always loud, always full of colors, smells, and the sound of aliens shouting prices. But that day, the laughter was different. It was cruel. In the center of the crowd, a young alien girl stood, holding a small bracelet in her hands. The bracelet was old, scratched, and covered in dust. To her, it was precious. But to everyone else, it was a joke. "Look at her," one alien shouted. "She carries the trash of our ancestors and calls it treasure." Another laughed so hard his eyes watered. "That thing? It is worthless, a broken toy, not even fit for children." The girl lowered her head, trying to hide her face. She clutched the bracelet tighter against her chest. It was the only thing she had left from her family, a gift given long ago. She never let go of it, even when she had no food, even when she slept on cold stone streets. But now the crowd's laughter cut her deeper than hunger ever did. Among the crowd, one figure did not laugh. He was not like the others. He was human, a traveler. His name was not important to the aliens because they believed humans were weak, soft, and simple. But as he stood in the shadows, his eyes did not see trash. His eyes saw something else. He stepped closer. The laughter grew louder, as if the aliens wanted to crush the girl completely before this stranger. "Maybe the human will buy it," someone mocked. "Yes, humans collect junk. They might pay for it." The girl felt her cheeks burn. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear. But before she could move, the human spoke. His voice was calm, steady, and different from all the voices around. "It's not ugly," he said softly. "It's beautiful." The crowd froze. The laughter stopped. Every eye turned toward him. The girl's head snapped up, her large eyes filled with shock. No one had ever said that before, not once. The human stepped even closer, ignoring the angry stares of the aliens. He looked at the bracelet, and then at the girl. "They don't see it," he said, "but I do. It's not broken, it's alive." Alive. The word echoed in her mind. She stared at the bracelet in her trembling hands. Was he just mocking her too? But when she looked into his face, she saw no cruelty there, only honesty, only respect. The aliens hissed in anger. "You fool," one spat. "It is junk. It was mocked even by those who created it. Our ancestors left it behind because it was worthless." "Worthless," another shouted, "and you dare to call it beautiful?" The human smiled faintly. Sometimes the greatest beauty is the one others throw away. Sometimes the treasure is what no one else can see. The girl's throat tightened. Her chest ached. All her life she had been told she was nothing, that her gift was trash, that her life had no meaning. But here, in front of the cruel crowd, this stranger had spoken words she never imagined hearing. Beautiful, treasure, alive. She felt the bracelet grow warm in her hand. At first she thought it was her imagination, but then a faint light flickered across its surface, tiny symbols glowing, fading, then glowing again. The crowd gasped. "What is this?" someone whispered. "It has never done that before." The human tilted his head, watching carefully. "It responds," he murmured. "It responds to truth." The girl's hands shook. She had carried this bracelet all her life, and never once had it glowed. Why now? Why in his presence? The crowd grew restless. Some stepped back in fear. Others leaned forward with greed in their eyes. The laughter was gone. In its place, there was silence filled with hunger. The girl suddenly felt exposed. She wanted to hide, but the human placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Don't be afraid," he said quietly. "They don't decide what it is. You do." Her eyes widened. She laughed, looked at him as if he were speaking another language. She had never been given a choice. She had never been told her voice mattered. The aliens around them muttered darkly. "This is dangerous," one said. "If the relic responds to him, we must take it back." "Yes," another growled. "It must not belong to her, or to a human." The girl's heart raced. She could feel the tension rising, the air thick with anger. For the first time, the mocking crowd looked ready to fight. The human's eyes never left hers. "Hold it tight," he whispered. "Don't let them take it, because maybe, just maybe, this gift was never meant for them. Maybe it was always meant for you." Her breath caught in her throat. The bracelet pulsed again, brighter this time, as if answering his words. The crowd erupted in shouts and threats. The girl clutched the glowing bracelet, her mind spinning. For the first time in her life, she felt a spark of hope, but also fear. Who was this human? And why did the bracelet come alive only when he called it beautiful? The answer was hidden in the glow, and the universe was about to notice. The marketplace never forgot that moment. For days afterward, whispers spread across Xylan City. People spoke of the strange light, of the human's bold words and of the poor girl who dared to stand in the middle of the crowd holding a relic that glowed. Some said it was a trick, others swore it was real, but everyone agreed on one thing: the bracelet was no longer just trash, it was dangerous. The girl did not sleep that night. She sat under the broken roof of her small shelter, clutching the bracelet to her chest. The glow had faded, but the warmth remained, as if the metal itself remembered. Her heart beat fast every time she replayed the human's words in her mind. It's not ugly. It's beautiful. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever defended her. Footsteps approached in the darkness. She tensed, ready to run, but the voice that spoke was gentle. You're still awake. It was him. The she. Yuman. He carried no weapons, only a small pack on his back. His eyes looked calm, but also alert, as if he knew danger was close. He sat across from her, close enough to see the bracelet in her hands. Why did it glow? She asked quickly, her voice breaking the silence. She had held the question inside her since the marketplace. The human leaned forward, studying the strange markings carved into the old metal. It glowed because it wanted to be seen, he said softly. Not as trash, not as broken, but as something alive. She frowned. Alive? It's only metal. He shook his head. Not only metal. Look, these symbols are not scratches. They're writing. Old writing. His finger hovered over the bracelet, careful not to touch it without her permission. It is waiting for something. Or someone. The girl's hands tightened around it. But why me? Why not them? His eyes met hers. Because you never gave up on it. Even when they laughed at you. That matters. Her chest felt heavy with emotions she didn't know how to name. For years she had been told she was foolish for holding on to the bracelet, and yet this stranger made her believe it had meaning. Suddenly, the bracelet flickered again, just faintly. She gasped. The human's eyes widened, but he smiled. See? It hears you. It's listening. The faint glow shifted, forming shapes in the air. Lines, curves, almost like a star map. The girl's mouth opened in shock. She had never seen it do that before. The floating lines spun slowly, showing points of light like stars in the night sky. It's a map, the human whispered. A map to something hidden. Her pulse raced. Hidden? What? Before he could answer, voices echoed from the street. The girl froze. Harsh footsteps clattered against the stone road. Alien guards. She recognized their voices. Men from the crowd. They were searching for her. They will take it, she whispered in panic. The human's face hardened. Then we move now. Get up. He pulled her to her feet just as shadows appeared at the end of the alley. Torches burned bright, and angry voices grew louder. There! She's here! The girl clutched the bracelet as the human grabbed her hand. They ran. The guards shouted, chasing them through narrow streets and broken houses. The city that had always ignored her was now hunting her. Her lungs burned. Her legs shook, but she kept running, because the human did not let go of her hand. His grip was strong, steady, unyielding. For the first time, she felt like she was not alone. They turned corner after corner until they finally reached the edge of the city, where broken walls led out into the dark desert. The human slowed, checking the shadows. The guards' shouts were still behind them, but farther away. Breathing hard, the girl collapsed to her knees, clutching the bracelet against her chest. Why are they chasing me? Because they fear what they don't understand, he answered. And because if this bracelet truly is a map, they want to control whatever it leads to. Her eyes widened. Control? The universe? Maybe, he said. Or maybe something worse. The girl looked down at the glowing bracelet. The light was faint now, but still there, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Her fear grew stronger. I don't want it, she whispered. It will only bring trouble. The human knelt beside her. His voice was calm but firm. You carried it your whole life for a reason. You didn't give it up, even when they mocked you. Do you think that was an accident? No. It chose you long before today. Her throat tightened. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to think her suffering meant something, but doubt weighed heavy. And if I can't protect it? He smiled faintly. Then I will. The words hit her like a spark. No one had ever said they would protect her. No one had ever stood beside her. But this human, a stranger from another world, was ready to fight for her and her gift. The girl's heart raced as she looked again at the faint star map floating above the bracelet. A destiny she never asked for was opening before her, and the human, with steady eyes and fearless words, was pulling her into it. Behind them, the city roared with voices and marching feet. Ahead of them, the desert stretched wide and endless. Somewhere out there, the secret of the bracelet waited. For the first time, the girl stood tall. She pressed the bracelet against her wrist and whispered, "Then let's find the truth." The bracelet pulsed once more, brighter than ever before, and the universe seemed to awaken. The desert was silent, except for the wind. The girl and the human walked for hours, leaving the city lights far behind. The sand stretched endlessly, silver under the pale moons. The girl clutched the bracelet against her chest, afraid that if she let go, it would vanish like a dream. But inside the city, the silence did not last. The aliens who had mocked her before now gathered in secret halls. The leaders sat around a long stone table, their faces dark with anger. The relic responded, one of them growled. His long fingers tapped against the table. And worse, it responded in the hands of a human. Shouts filled the hall. Impossible. Unacceptable. The human must be destroyed. The eldest among them raised his hand, silencing the room. His eyes burned with greed. Do you not see? If the relic glows, then the ancient power is real. And if a worthless girl and an outsider awakened it, then we must take it before it spreads beyond our control. The aliens muttered agreement, their voices dripping with hatred. We will hunt them. We will drag the relic back, even if it means killing them both. Out in the desert, the girl shivered, though the night air was warm. She sat on a rock, hugging her knees, her eyes fixed on the human. He was setting a small fire with dry branches he had carried in his pack. His movements were calm, steady, as if nothing in the world could shake him. "Why do you help me?" she finally asked. Her voice was small, almost lost in the wind. He looked up at her, his face half lit by the fire. "Because you needed someone to stand beside you." She lowered her gaze. "No one ever has." "Then it's about time someone did." Her throat tightened. She wanted to argue, to tell him he was wasting his time on her, but the words refused to come. Deep down she wanted to believe him. The bracelet lay on the ground between them, glowing faintly. Suddenly the light grew stronger, forming the star map again. The girl leaned closer, her eyes wide. The human studied it carefully. "These lines," he said, pointing, "they're not just stars. They're paths, routes through space. This is not a simple relic. It's a guide." Her heart pounded. A guide to what? He shook his head. "I don't know yet. But whatever it is, your people wanted it forgotten." Before she could answer, the wind shifted. The fire flickered. The human's eyes narrowed. He grabbed a small device from his pack and scanned the horizon. A faint red light blinked. "They're coming," he said. The girl's stomach twisted with fear. "The guards?" "Not just guards," he said grimly. "Hunters." Her hands trembled. She knew what that meant. Hunters did not take prisoners. They silenced problems forever. The human quickly stamped out the fire. "We move now." They walked deeper into the desert, guided by the faint light of the bracelet. But the girl's fear grew heavier with every step. She could almost hear the hunters behind them, their footsteps echoing in her mind. Back in the city, the alien leader gave orders. "Track them, corner them, do not return without the relic. The girl and the human are nothing. Their lives end tonight." The hunters spread into the desert, sharp-eyed and merciless. Meanwhile, the girl's legs shook with exhaustion, but she refused to stop. The human's steady hand pulled her forward. His voice was calm, though his eyes stayed sharp. "You're stronger than you think," he said. She almost laughed bitterly. "Stronger? I've lived in the streets my whole life. I've been nothing to them, only mocked, only rejected." He looked at her firmly. "And yet you survived. That makes you stronger than all of them." She stared at him, shocked. No one had ever spoken of her life that way. To her people, she was weak. To him, she was strong. Something inside her began to shift. The bracelet pulsed again, brighter this time. The star map stretched farther, showing not just one path but many, like rivers of light across the sky. She gasped. "It's showing more." The human studied it with fascination. "It's leading us somewhere, and the closer we follow it, the more it reveals." But their moment ended as a distant howl echoed across the desert. The girl froze. "They're here!" The human's jaw tightened. He pulled a small weapon from his pack, its metallic surface glowing faintly. "Stay close. Whatever happens, don't let them take the bracelet." Her chest tightened with fear, but also with something new. Resolve. She nodded. "I won't." In the shadows behind them, shapes moved. Eyes gleamed in the darkness. The hunters were closer now, their voices carried by the wind. The girl clutched the bracelet to her heart. The human stood tall, weapon ready. The desert was about to erupt in chaos. And in that moment she realized something. The human had not just given her courage. He had given her a reason to fight. The bracelet glowed brighter than ever before, casting light across the sand, as if it too was ready for the battle that was coming. The desert night grew darker, and the air felt heavy with danger. The girl clutched the glowing bracelet close to her chest, while the human scanned the shadows with sharp eyes. Behind them, faint figures moved in silence, the hunters. Their steps were light, but their presence was like a storm waiting to break. The girl's heart pounded in her ears. She whispered, "They're close. Too close." The human kept his voice calm. "Yes, but they won't get you. Or the bracelet." She wanted to believe him, yet fear crept into her bones. She had been hunted before in the city, chased by cruel voices, mocked until she hid in the dark. But this time was different. These hunters did not want to laugh at her. They wanted her gone. The bracelet pulsed again, its light stronger than before. The floating map shimmered above it, lines of light stretching into the night sky. The girl gasped. "It's changing." The human's eyes narrowed as he watched. The map twisted, forming not just stars but symbols she had never seen. "It's reacting to danger," he said, as if it knows what's coming. A low growl echoed from the dunes. The hunters were near enough now that their voices carried through the wind. "Give us the relic," one shouted, his tone cold and sharp. "Surrender, and your end will be quick." The girl's hands shook. She looked at the human, panic rising in her chest. "What do we do?" He did not hesitate. "We stand." The hunters stepped from the shadows, their armor shining under the twin moons. There were 5 of them, each armed with curved blades that gleamed like fire. Their eyes locked on the bracelet with hunger. "You don't understand what you carry," one snarled. "It was never yours. It belongs to us." The girl trembled but found her voice. "No, it's mine. It always was." The hunters laughed, the sound cold and cruel. A street rat dares to claim the gift of the ancients? Pathetic. Before she could speak, the human stepped forward, placing himself between her and them. "She is not pathetic. She is the only one worthy of it, and you will not touch her." The hunters sneered, raising their blades. "Hen, you will die first." They rushed forward. The human moved fast, blocking the first strike with his weapon, sparks flying in the night. The clash of metal rang out across the desert. He fought fiercely, his every move sharp and precise, but there were too many. The girl's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to help, but she had nothing. No weapon, no strength, nothing but the bracelet. Her eyes fell to it. The light pulsed faster, brighter, almost blinding. Her heart raced. "Alive," she whispered, remembering the human's words. "It's alive." As the hunters pressed forward, the bracelet grew hot in her hands. Pain shot through her arms, but she did not let go. Instead, she held it high, desperate, afraid, and yet hopeful. Then it happened. A wave of light burst out from the bracelet, flooding the desert with brilliance. The hunters staggered back, shielding their eyes. The human froze, eyes wide with shock. The girl herself could hardly breathe as the light wrapped around her like living fire. Symbols spun in the air above her, ancient and glowing. The star map exploded outward, covering the sky itself with rivers of light. The dunes shook, the wind roared, and the hunters stumbled in fear. "What is this?" one shouted. "This power, it cannot be real." The girl's body trembled as the bracelet's energy surged through her. She felt it whispering to her, not in words but in feelings, strength, courage, destiny. For the first time in her life, she did not feel small. She felt vast. She felt seen. The human called out over the storm of light. "Don't be afraid. Control it. Believe in yourself." His voice steadied her. She closed her eyes, gripping the bracelet with both hands. Slowly, the wild light bent to her will, the symbols aligning into a single shape. It was a key, an enormous glowing key pointing toward the horizon. The hunters, once so bold, now looked shaken. One stepped back. "It's choosing her, the relic. It answers only to her." "No," another roared. "She cannot hold it. She is nothing." But even as he spoke, the bracelet shone brighter, answering their denial with truth. The desert itself seemed to bow to the light. The girl opened her eyes, and for the first time her gaze was steady. She looked at the hunters and spoke with a voice stronger than she ever thought possible. "I am not nothing." The hunters faltered. The human smiled faintly, even as he held his weapon ready. The light dimmed slowly, fading back into the bracelet. The desert fell silent again, but everything had changed. The hunters whispered to one another, shaken but still hungry. "If she unlocks the ancient vault, we lose everything. We must follow. We must stop her." They retreated into the night, vanishing into the dunes. their shadows promising danger yet to come. The girl collapsed to her knees, exhausted. The human rushed to her side, helping her up. "You did it," he whispered. "You controlled it." She looked down at the bracelet, still glowing faintly, its warmth pulsing like a heartbeat. "I don't understand it," she said softly, "but it feels like it's part of me." The human nodded. "That's because it is, and now we must follow where it leads." The girl raised her eyes to the horizon, where the glowing key had pointed. Somewhere out there, the truth waited, and for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid to find it. The desert was quiet again, but the girl knew it was only for a moment. The hunters had not been defeated, they had only retreated. Their eyes were still on her, their blades still sharp. Somewhere in the darkness, they were planning their next strike. The human did not rest. He studied the horizon, where the glowing key in the sky had pointed before fading. "That's our path," he said. His voice was calm but urgent. "We follow it before they come again." The girl clutched the bracelet, still warm against her skin. "But it's so far. How will we return?" "Each it?" The human gave a small smile. "Not on foot. We'll need a ship." Her eyes widened. A ship? She had never even stepped onto one. She had only watched them leave the city docks, great silver wings that vanished into the stars. To her, the stars had always felt unreachable. Now the bracelet whispered that they were calling her. The journey to the edge of the city was long and dangerous. Patrols searched every road, hunters prowled the alleys, and every shadow felt like a trap. But the human knew how to move quietly, guiding her through ruined passages and empty tunnels. His hand never let go of hers, steadying her when fear almost froze her legs. By dawn, they reached the docking yards. Ships of many shapes and sizes rested under the rising suns, guarded by alien crews. The girl's heart raced as she looked at them. "How can we take one? They'll never let us." The human's eyes sparkled with determination. "Then we won't ask." They slipped through the maze of crates and cargo, the smell of fuel thick in the air. The human's sharp eyes searched until he found a small, old freighter at the far edge of the yard. Its hull was scratched, its engines dented, but it was fast enough to escape. The girl hesitated as they reached it. "I've never flown before." He placed a hand on the cold metal of the ship. "You don't need to. I have." Her eyes widened. "You're a pilot?" "Something like that," he said with a faint grin. They boarded quietly, but as soon as the engines began to hum, alarms blared across the yard. Guards shouted, sirens screamed. The hunters had been waiting for this. "They found us," the girl cried. The human's hands flew across the controls. "Hold on tight." The ship roared to life. Lasers flashed across the yard, striking the hull. The girl clutched the bracelet as the freighter lifted into the air, shaking violently. Hunters rushed onto Speedy, their engines screaming as they gave chase. The freighter soared higher, but the hunters followed, their weapons firing bolts of fire across the sky. The girl pressed against the window, watching explosions of light behind them. Fear gripped her chest. "They'll catch us." "No," the human said firmly. "Not if you believe." He twisted the controls, the freighter spinning through the air, dodging blasts of fire. The city shrank below them, but the hunters were relentless, closing the distance. The bracelet pulsed again, glowing so brightly that the ship's cabin was filled with light. The girl gasped as the star map reappeared, spreading across the window like a living guide. The lines of light pointed a clear path through the skies. "It's showing us the way," she shouted. The human glanced at it, his jaw tightening. "Then we follow it." The freighter dove into the map's path, slipping through narrow gaps between mountains and skimming across rivers of fire. The hunters followed, but the map always revealed a hidden turn, a secret path, a way forward that only the bracelet could see. The girl's fear slowly turned into wonder. Every time the hunters grew close, the bracelet's light pulsed stronger, revealing another escape. She realized it was not only guiding them, it was protecting them. But the hunters were not giving up. Their leader's voice echoed through the comms, sharp and cruel. "You cannot run forever, girl. The relic is ours. The stars will never belong to you." The girl's hands tightened around the bracelet. For a moment, doubt returned. Maybe he was right. Maybe she was nothing more than a poor street girl holding a treasure she didn't deserve. Then she remembered the human's voice in the marketplace. "It's not ugly. It's beautiful. You are beautiful." Her fear melted away. She raised the bracelet high, and its glow filled the freighter like a sun. The hunters howled as the light blinded their sensors, throwing them off course. One by one, their ships spun out of control, crashing into the dunes below. Slow, the freighter shot forward, free of pursuit. The girl fell back into her seat, breathless, her chest pounding. She looked at the human, who smiled faintly as he steadied the controls. "You did it," he said. She shook her head. "No, we did it, together." The freighter climbed higher, breaking through the clouds. The sky turned black and the stars stretched wide and endless. The girl pressed her hand to the glass, tears in her eyes. For the first time in her life, she was not looking up at the stars from the dirt. She was among them. The bracelet glowed warmly, the map pointing farther into the galaxy. Somewhere out there, the truth waited. The hunters were not gone forever, and danger was still ahead. But the girl was no longer afraid. With the human beside her and the bracelet alive in her hands, she felt ready. And as the freighter vanished into the stars, the universe itself seemed to open before her. The stars guided them for days. The bracelet's map glowed whenever the path twisted, pointing through black space and quiet skies. The girl spent hours staring out the window of the freighter, watching worlds pass like glowing gems in the dark. Each one seemed alive, each one whispering secrets. She had never dreamed she would leave her city streets. Now the universe itself stretched open before her. But peace never lasted. The hunters followed. Even when their ships were destroyed, new ones appeared, driven by the leader's hunger. The girl and the human never truly rested. Every time they thought they were safe, shadows rose again behind them. Finally, after endless travel, the map grew brighter, flooding the cabin with golden light. The bracelet pulsed against her wrist like a heartbeat. She gasped. "We're close." The human nodded. "Yes, the vault is near." Ahead, a world appeared, dark and hidden, wrapped in swirling storms. No ships flew near it. No colonies lived upon it. It was forgotten, abandoned, left outside the memory of most. Yet the bracelet's light pointed straight toward it. They descended through thunder and fire. The ship shook, lightning flashing across the hull, but the bracelet's glow cut a safe path through the storm. At last, they broke through the clouds, and the girl's breath caught in her throat. Below them lay a valley of stone, carved into shapes too perfect for nature. At its center stood a massive gate of silver and black, older than any city she had ever seen. Symbols glowed faintly across its surface, the same markings etched into her bracelet. "The vault," the human whispered. The freighter landed on the rocky ground. The girl stepped out, her legs weak, her eyes fixed on the towering gate. She felt both small and infinite at the same time. The bracelet grew warmer, pulling her closer. Together, she and the human walked to the gate. The moment she raised her wrist, the symbols across the stone walls blazed with light. The ground trembled. The gate groaned, ancient locks shifting for the first time in countless years. As the entrance began to open, voices filled the air behind them. "Stop!" The girl spun around. From the storm above, alien ships descended, sleek and sharp. Hunters poured out, followed by the leaders themselves, their robes whipping in the wind. Their eyes burned with greed and fury. "You cannot open it," one leader shouted. "The relic belongs to us." The girl stepped back, fear twisting inside her. The human placed himself at her side, his weapon ready, but there were too many. The hunters spread across the valley, blades and rifles gleaming. The eldest leader stepped forward, his voice cold as stone. "Girl, give us the bracelet. You are nothing. You cannot hold what was made by our ancestors. It is too great for you." Her heart pounded. She looked at the human. His eyes were steady, waiting for her choice. The leader's voice rose. "Hand it over, and we may spare your life. Refuse, and you will both die here, forgotten under the sand." The girl trembled. She had carried the bracelet all her life, mocked and rejected for it, and now, when it finally revealed its secret, they demanded she give it away. Her old self would have obeyed. She would have bowed, broken, and surrendered. But the human's words echoed in her mind. "Sometimes the treasure is what no one else can see. You're stronger than you think. Don't let them take it. Maybe it was always meant for you." Her fear began to burn away. She looked at the leaders, their faces twisted with anger, and for the first time she saw them clearly, not as gods above her, but as frightened beings, desperate to keep their power. She lifted her wrist, the bracelet blazing with light. "No," she said firmly, "I won't give it to you." The valley shook as if the world itself answered her defiance. The hunters raised their weapons, ready to strike. The human stepped forward, shielding her with his body. "You'll have to go through me first," the eldest leader sneered. "Then so be it." The hunters advanced. The girl's pulse raced, but the bracelet's heat spread through her, filling her veins with fire. The gate behind her opened wider, releasing a blinding glow. She felt it pulling her forward, calling her name without words. She realized then what the vault was waiting for. Not for the leaders, not for the hunters, but for her. Her choice was clear. She gripped the bracelet tightly and whispered, "I choose." The gate roared open, releasing a wave of power so bright that the hunters stumbled back, their weapons useless. The leaders shielded their eyes, shouting in fear. The girl stood tall in the light, the human at her side, as the vault crowned her with its radiance. She had been mocked, rejected, forgotten, but now she was chosen. The leaders screamed, their voices drowned in the storm of power. The Elle's heart no longer trembled. She looked at them with steady eyes and spoke with the voice of the vault itself. "You cannot take what was never yours.